Section 17. Mode of execution. Immaterial. I got to my office and met Barrister Adamu standing in front of my door. "I'm sure you know why I am here," he said, as he stood aside for me to open my office door. I sat behind my desk and gestured to Mr. Adamu to have a seat. Then I called the IPO to the case. I requested for the case file, and he brought it to my office. Barrister Adamu sat in front of me as I studied all the statements made by the 4 suspects. I started with the statements by Barrister Adamu's wife so as to determine her level of involvement in the crime. I was able to establish that her relationship with Alima extended to Alima's family, who named Alima after Mrs. Adamu's mother, making Mrs. Adamu Alima's godmother. The bond between Alima and Mrs. Adamu grew over the years. As Alima grew older, she insisted that she would school in Lagos, where Mrs. Adamu worked. As such, she lived in the staff quarters with her mentor, but slept in the school hostel every once in a while with her friends. I got to the part of her statement where she advised Alima on what to do to Jumai. She clearly told Alima to scar Jumai's face so she would no longer be attractive to Femi. But she never knew Alima would go to the extent of using concentrated acid on Jumai. I cross-referenced her defense with Alima's statements, where Alima stated that she decided to use acid on Jumai's face after her mentor, Mrs. Adamu, counseled her to scar Jumai's face. From my point of view, both suspects' statements placed Mrs. Adamu in a tight spot. I presented these facts to Barrister Adamu, but he didn't quite agree with my submission. He insisted that Alima was an adult and should be held accountable for her actions. He added that she was old enough to know that such advice would result in a crime. Alima soon sensed that Mr. and Mrs. Adamu were out to throw her under the bus, given the lame defense her lawyer, Barrister Adamu, was presenting to the police. So she said, "I no longer have confidence in Barrister Adamu to defend me in this case, so I would like to call my father to get me another lawyer." Barrister Adamu tried to sweet-talk her into retaining him, but she refused. So I allowed her to call her father, who was not pleased with Barrister Adamu. After tongue-lashing Barrister Adamu over the phone, Alima's father also called me. Obviously, he had collected my number from his daughter. He didn't say much. He only requested I give him 30 minutes, that his lawyer's chamber would send another lawyer to defend his daughter and the remaining 2 suspects. So I placed the interview on hold till the lawyer got to my office. I gave Alima another 30 minutes to bring the new lawyer up to speed on the case, and also for the remaining 2 suspects to narrate their involvement in the crime. Mode of execution. Immaterial. When a person advises or counsels another to commit an offense, and an offense is actually committed after such advice or counsel by the person to whom it is given, it is immaterial whether the offense actually committed is the same as advised, counseled, or a different one, or the offense is committed in the way advised or counseled, or in a different way, provided that the facts constituting the offense actually committed are a probable consequence of carrying out the advice or counsel. After reading out loud, I added that Alima pouring acid on Jumai's face was a probable consequence of the advice Mrs. Adamu had given her to scar Jumai's face. At this point, there was no basis for Barrister Adamu to raise any objection. The letters of the law were clear and explicit on the actions of his wife. I could tell from Alima's disposition that she was thrilled by my submission. Barrister Funsho Fagba reached out and took the law book from my hand. Then he studied Section 17 assiduously. Section 17, Mode of Execution Immaterial. He said with a smile, "Officer, you are obviously very good at this." Then he handed back the law book. "Tell me," he said, "what is the next thing?" I told him we had requested for a 2-week remand order from a magistrate court. My phone rang just then as he was about to ask me his next question. I told him to hold that thought as I answered the call. It was the lawyer from our legal team who had filed the remand order. He requested I bring all the suspects to court. I directed my attention back to Barrister Funsho Fagba. I know your next question is, when is the magistrate hearing the remand application? Am I right? He smiled in affirmation. I told him the court would sit on the remand application in the next 1 hour. So we all moved to court. Soon, the matter was heard, and the magistrate ruled in our favor for the obvious reason that if the suspects were left to move freely, they would jeopardize our chances of getting more evidence. The 2-week remand order was approved, so we moved them back to our detention facility where they were properly detained on court order, which meant no civil suit for holding them beyond 48 hours.
This work of fiction is a production of COSPEAKS, composed and written by Chidi Okoye, narrated by Ikenna Igwe, sound production by Blaze Entertainment, graphics by Illustro Kings Creatives, video production and effects by Kings Media, visual and shots by Sheung B. Thank you for viewing.